Well, Sinan Hatahet is the Deputy Executive Director at Omran Center for Strategic Studies. He joins us now from the Turkish capital, Ankara. Thanks so much for joining us. So all this now after the much anticipated peace talks concluded in Astana. I'd like to hear from you how much you think those talks actually achieved. Will anything translate to civilians on the ground in Syria?
Well, the Astana talks come as a continuation to a previous round of negotiations between armed opposition groups and Turkish representatives, as well as Russian military in Ankara 2 weeks ago, which resulted in a nationwide ceasefire agreement. The same meetings also occurred in Damascus between the Russians' representatives as well as the regime. So the Astana talks come as a step further to confirm this original agreement and to install a monitoring mechanism which Russia, Turkey, and Iran will jointly take responsibility for.
And what about that mechanism? We've had very few details on how it's actually supposed to work.
Well, this still is a subject of debate. The three nations still have to meet and to agree on these mechanisms. There have been some talks and negotiation initiated in Astana, but it wasn't the case. It wasn't the objective of Astana. Astana's main objective was to make sure that the opposition armed groups, as well as the regime, give their, let's say, blessing for the Turkish/Russian/Iranian role in monitoring the ceasefire. However, the modalities and the mechanism is still to be discussed in close meetings, and most probably we will witness also a role of de Mistura and the UN in this process.
Is it working, though, to have Turkey, Iran, and Russia serve as the primary brokers in these talks, or was there more hope working out of Geneva via the UN?
Well, the UN will still be present, and this is what I meant by de Mistura. De Mistura will do everything in his power, and this is, I think, also the will of Russia and Turkey, at least, is to involve the UN in such mechanisms. Now, whether it's enough or not, I think is very important to include also the United States in such mechanisms. However, we think that Russia and Iran are strong enough and have enough leverage over the Syrian regime to make sure they can that it will actually respect its engagement.
Okay, Sinan Hatahet, thank you so much for joining us there with your insight from Ankara.